But my low points for this movie, definitely the Autobots. Before I go into what I didn't like about the Autobots, I will say I ended up really liking Skids and Mudflap. I was going in totally thinking I was going to completely hate them. The ice cream truck stuff at the beginning, fantastic. So funny. They could have been ice cream truck the entire time, and that would have made my entire day. I want a t-shirt that says Decepticon suck my popsicle. That'd be great. So they were really funny, but I was getting really annoyed at them by the end because I'm like, oh my gosh, we are spending so much time with these two comic relief characters, and we've spent basically no time with anybody else. The fact that Optimus dies, like, halfway through the movie, or in the first act of the movie, he's not really in it until the very, very end, so our major player is gone. Bumblebee can't talk. He really isn't even in it that much, in my opinion. Not as much as he should be. I don't think he's played all that. I didn't like the fact that Bumblebee really wasn't in it that much anyway. And then, of course, we have Ironhide and Ratchet are, you know, other two veterans from the first movie who get to do basically nothing. I did really, really like the punk-ass Decepticons line from Ironhide. I thought that was just, like, perfect. But really, Ratchet and Ironhide did nothing. And the new characters, RC, Sideswipe, and Jolt, I can't even remember if that was his name or not. They did practically nothing. They were super freaking awesome in the first scene, and then they did nothing else. I think Sideswipe, you know, had a total of 2 lines. One which was a funny line, and the other one just like, Sam over here. And RC had 1 line, which was come with us, and then she got, you know, blasted in the face. I do not think that she is dead. I know Michael Bay, that was one of the spoilers that I knew going in, was that RC was gonna die. Okay, if she's dead, that was the stupidest death ever, just throwing that out there. And then, I don't know if Jolt said anything, he was just like, I'm gonna shock you two, and somehow that's gonna connect pieces of Jetfire to Optimus Prime. I don't know how that worked. Speaking of Jetfire, I did really, really like Jetfire. He was very funny, he had good lines, I loved his voice. I kind of sometimes didn't think that it really fit for some reason, like I felt like it was a little overdone, but it was still pretty funny. And of course his sacrifice at the end, you know, you're like, oh, Jetfire, you're so awesome. And he made for the most epic Optimus Prime ever, so he was good. But I really didn't like how downplayed the Autobots were in this movie, other than Skids and Mudflap. Like, it was like Skids and Mudflap the movie. I'm serious. Who in fact were the most vulgar Autobots I've ever seen. Besides Wheelie, forgot about Wheelie for a second there. How could I forget about lovely Wheelie? Yeah, he was funnier than I expected, but I don't ever need to see anything, especially a Decepticon Autobot, any kind of Transformer, hump Megan Fox's leg ever again. Ever. That hurt my brain, and I think my eyes started bleeding. I know people thought that was funny, my mom thought that was hilarious, I did not think that was funny. I thought it was stupid. And that goes into my other major not liking thing for this movie. It was the humor. And there was humor like this in the first movie, but I felt like it was not as upplayed as this one was. The dog, all the humping jokes. There was tons of humping jokes. What was with that? The ball joke on Devastator, obviously. I don't ever want to see Agent Simmons behind ever again as well. The brownie bit was kind of funny. I will admit the brownie bit was funny. And then everything Skids and Mudflap says, it all kind of went into this version of humor that I'm just not a big fan of. I do think this movie was really like a guy's movie, because my guy friend who went with me thought it was absolutely hilarious, and he quoted Skids and Mudflap the whole way home, and thought, you know, all of it was just so funny. But I just was not a big fan of the humor in this movie, and I do think that the humor was way more upplayed than in the first movie. Actually, when I think about it, I really do think that the first movie was simply a more serious movie than this one. I felt like this movie, I felt like Revenge of the Fallen really just took advantage of every single moment there could be a joke, even like made moments where they could be a joke. Oh, I just got a little doodad. I'm gonna answer it. GD, this is your fault. I'm talking to you right now. Can't remember what I was talking about. Thanks, GD. And the thing about the humor that I think is the most interesting is when I think about it, the first movie I definitely find to be a much more serious movie than this one. I felt like Revenge of the Fallen, like, took every single opportunity it could to make some kind of ridiculous, crude joke, even, like, made-up ones. Like, the thing with Devastator, I don't think any of the construction vehicles that went into making him had wrecking balls. So, it's like they knew that joke was going to be there, and even though it didn't make sense, it had to be there anyway, because it was just so funny, which it wasn't. So, it had a little bit too much crude humor for me, but I am a girl, and I'm not a big fan of crude humor, so there's nothing that can really be done about what I think about that. And the biggest thing about this movie, I think, is it totally gears itself more towards Transformers fans, I think, than the first one. But I had people turn to me, especially during, like, the space bridge scene, especially during the space bridge scene, anything with Soundwave, and even some of the Megatron Starscream stuff, people looked at me and they went, what is going on? I had someone ask me if I was mad about the fact that Starscream was a comic relief character, and I said, no, Starscream was perfect. And a lot of people just don't understand why it's so great that Starscream is funny. And the biggest thing was probably The Matrix. A lot of people I talked to were like, that was the stupidest thing ever, why'd they even make that up? I'm like, it's from some previous stuff. It wasn't used in the best way ever, but if you haven't heard of The Matrix before, I do think that people kind of thought it was it's weird. I kind of wish I could, like, turn off my Transformers knowledge to see this movie and then say what I thought about it. But I can't. So overall, it's a very enjoyable movie. Is it a really good movie? No. Is it a really good Transformers movie? No. But it is really enjoyable. The action's really good, and me being an animator, the action scenes were fantastic, and as always, the Transformers are so well animated. Now, if someone came up to me and said that I had to either watch Revenge of the Fallen or the 2007 Transformers, I think that I would definitely watch the first one because, and this just seems to be a theme with me with all superhero franchises, I just really liked the first one first. There's something about the introduction of the characters and the fact that the Autobots, you know, have personality and get to do stuff in the first movie that I just love it more. And the thing is, the first movie I just feel like is just so much more serious than the second one. When you think about it, first movie takes place basically all at night, and some of the most intense action sequences are at night, and the first scene, the very first transformation scene is, you know, super intense. Second movie takes place almost all during the day and in, like, this bright, sunshiny place like Egypt, and it's chock full of the humor that I didn't really like from the first movie. So I do think that I prefer the 2007 movie. So I know that my opinion is kind of different than other people. I don't hate it, it's not my favorite. And I'm also sorry that this review has basically just been, like, rambling on. I'm so bad at doing these. My next video up, I do think is going to be All Hail Megatron 12. Sorry, Maximum Dinobots, I know I need to finish reviewing you, but, anyone who's read All Hail Megatron will know why I feel like I have to review that soon. Like, I saw Transformers, I saw Revenge of the Fallen twice, you know, Monday, Tuesday, read All Hail Megatron 12 on Wednesday, and, like, almost completely forgot about Revenge of the Fallen, because, wow. But I will get into that when I review it. So, that is my review of Revenge of the Fallen. Take it for what it is. Whatever. And I will catch you guys next time. So stupid.